Hey, hi, how are you? Welcome back to another episode of Red String Series, a series that I created because I wanted to. It is an unedited, unfiltered series that me, Mel McSherry, pronouns they, she, wanted to create because I love to share, I love to teach, and I love to inspire. So, for those of you who are new here, the Red String series was created because I love to red string things together, predominantly through the lens of human design, but I also use other modalities and tools to show myself when I'm going through something, as well as use it to guide my clients when they are moving through a hallway, I like to call it. And that comes from a quote that says, we always talk about the doors of opportunity, but rarely do we talk about the hallways in between. And what I wanted to red string together today is going to start from this statement. Human design is not the end all be all. It's not the only tool out there. And I love that it's not the only tool out there. I love that it can be layered with other modalities. It can be layered with traditional or non-alternative tools and frameworks. And I never have and never will preach that this is it, right? Now that song is playing in my head. Um, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about a really, really, really phenomenal space that I am co-creating with my friend Hallie, who is an amazing astrologist, and my other friend Kirsten, who is a phenomenal CliftonStrengths expert. And we have joined together in the power of three to create an amazing space called TUF, the Unshakable Foundation. Now, we all three are all of the same belief. One, that our modalities are not the end all be all. Two, that they can be segmented into spaces to help guide individuals to not only get clarity on their why and really truly connect to their soul purpose, but show them in different ways and in different vernaculars how you are designed to bring that why to life. And we recently went live on Instagram the other week to talk, not only to introduce ourselves, which I'm going to post that in my YouTube channel, so definitely stay tuned for that, but also to give you a little amuse bouche to the kind of support we are going to have or we are going to provide in the TUF space. Now, I wanted to give a quick example of how we are red stringing this together. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we are focusing on the why behind your how. And of course, that all starts with the why, with your soul purpose. Now, does human design give that to you? Yes. Is it possibly giving it to you in a way that you connect to? I don't know. That's why we're using different tools because sometimes I will say something to somebody in a human design reading and they'll be like, try that again, right? And they could have the exact same question that they would pose to Hallie, and they would walk them through pieces of their birth chart, and it will click for them. And that's what's important to all three of us is that you get this to click in your own amazing way. So, to tease out a little bit on Hallie's behalf, because she did talk about this during our Instagram live, is that normally in astrology, you hear a lot about the big three. Are we shitting on the big three? Absolutely not. But what all three of us really want to show is the expansiveness that these modalities have. They're not just your big three. Human design is not just your type. CliftonStrengths is not just, your strengths, right? Or your personality. There are spaces and places in each of these charts that we all three love to nerd out on that aren't your typical spaces. And again, that might be the space that you need to have this click. So, Hallie is going to spend time starting off in where your Saturn placement is. Now, do I know what that means? Kind of, sort of, not really. She's teaching me. But I do know that is not something I have been asked to look at from an astrology standpoint. Already, we are flipping things on its head, right? So through the position of your 12th house, and she's going to add on a couple of different spaces as well as we move through this. And we will share more of this in our webinar on the 15th of September. But already that gives you a clear indication of what your purpose is. Now, if you already know your human design, I would love to hear if you look where your Saturn is placed, what house and what does that mean? How does that amplify what human design has already told you? If you already know where your Saturn is in whatever house that may be, I would invite you to get your human design chart. You can get it for free at mybodygraph.com. I am not affiliated. That is just the site that I use. And then you will have to do a little bit of like individually digging because the definition of your incarnation cross, excuse me, is not in the free chart, but it does give you the information where you can just Google it and see how that gives a different depth or insights into it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take that information and then we're going to move it through your human design chart. And I'm going to spend some time inside of your centers and your profile. Now, for those of you who don't know, human design does layer together a lot of different modalities. The primary ones are astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, chakras, and quantum physics. So it's the chakras and the astrology for the most part that I'm going to blend together. So kind of again, taking that element that Hallie started with astrology and sprinkling in a little bit of the chakra system. Because when you start layering on your centers, what that shows you is where that energy, how much energy you have to bring that purpose to life. And then as you move through your profile, what are the two main characteristics that you can call upon or unconsciously use to bring those forward? Because what that's going to do is it's one going to just tell you, okay, can we just talk about how important it is to know how much energy you have? Because for me, it was a fucking game changer. I am what's called a projector in human design. And what a projector means in energetic terms is mama ain't got a lot, right? I don't have a natural energy source. I receive energy from doing things like this. I receive energy from others. And the thing is that if you aren't aware that you are possibly a projector, you are prone to burnout more than most. And I can say that as a person who has moved through several massive burnouts in their journey. And I probably will have a few more because I'm human, right? But when you really understand the capacity of your energy and where that energy comes from, especially for those who are naturally energetic and might possibly be designed to have their energy placed in multiple places at the same time, then it gives you already that pause of like, okay, so if I know this is where my energy is coming from, I know this is where I'm influenced, I know this is where I can go to when I'm like when the shit hits the fan, how I make my best decisions because your decision maker is located in your centers as well. It automatically starts to readjust your pace to something that is profitable to you mentally, emotionally, and energetically. And then it's that kind of first question of, okay, well, with all of these things, where do I start focusing? Like, where do I go with this? And that is predominantly, in my opinion, and in this space, shown in your profile. Your profile shows you your two main characteristics, as I mentioned earlier, one that is conscious and one that is unconscious. And 9 times out of 10, it shows you how you receive that information that you need to take those next steps. It may show you that no, social media is not your jam. In fact, it's networking and relationships. It may show you that, yeah, you can do the things, but also you need to rest. You need to decompress. You need to kind of slow your roll a bit, right? Or, yeah, you might have these ideas. And guess what? The only way for you to know is to put it into play and get more information back. So it shows you what you already know about yourself and might be frustrating because people have told you it's not correct. Um, or people have been like, well, yeah, I get that, but also let's do it this way. And you don't know what you don't know, right? You have an inclination that this is how you want to build your business or this is how you want to bring your purpose to life. But if you don't have the words and the proof to advocate for it, it's a lot harder. And I'm speaking from total experience on this, right? So as we have that now, so to kind of bring the red string back, starting it in where, again, this is one aspect that Hallie is going to move you through during our TUF webinar on the 15th. But where you can start now is look where your Saturn is placed. What is it calling for you? What are the aspects? What are the themes, right? That is your overarching purpose. Two, take that information, go ahead and look at your human design chart and look at your centers. Which ones are defined? Those are the ones that are colored in. Which ones are open? And what's your authority? And then what are your profile numbers, right? And you can, again, if you feel called to, you can go down this rabbit hole on your own. But if you don't have the capacity to, hi, I'll walk you through it. Hallie will walk you through it. Kirsten will walk you through it on our webinar on the 15th, which is recorded. So if you can't make it, you can have it in your inbox. Just to start to hone in on the energy you have to bring this purpose to life, and where are those kind of first places you can focus that energy, and where can you claim it back from that you may have gone too far or honestly don't even need to be. And then we're going to bring it into your CliftonStrengths top 5. And Kirsten is going to take all of that information and we're going to make it so pragmatical. That's a word, right? I keep thinking that's a word. If not, I've now made it up and I use it in my day-to-day language. Um, but in real life, actionable steps. So turning it into something that is tangible, that is tactical, that you can start implementing the very next day or as soon as you get off of the webinar. And that's what we want. We don't want you to just sit there and ideate and manifest and be like, isn't this magical? And then not know what the fuck to do with it. We are very actionable based people. We love our tools because, again, it has provided us individually the language that we love to advocate, to guide, to support. And it also gives us a way to start putting that and integrating it into our day today. So that's really what this episode is all about. It's all about recognizing the fact that no modality is the end all be all. If you believe that, cool beans, this is probably not your space, right? However, when you start to see how you can take the bits and bobs from each of these tools and know how to customize it, like start with where you're called, right? Start with what pulls to you and connects to you first, and then see how the other two expand on that information, kind of expand the bottom of that iceberg. I don't know if you've heard me use this image before, but I kind of feel like personal development is like an iceberg, right? The top of it is a lot of these, granted, beautiful and very worthy tools, but they just hit the surface level, right? When you flip it underneath, that's where tools like astrology, human design, and CliftonStrengths live. They give you the reason why you are getting those results in those certain tests. And when you have that trust, when you have that faith, when you have that information, then it's like, well, shit, I know this to be true. So, fuck you, you're cool, I'm out. And you can really start to confidently make decisions with little to no overthinking. You have that confidence in crafting your how. I talked about in the live how each of these tools have different keys, and these are all the different keys you can use to create your customized map to success. And you have that ease in decision making. You have that freedom from overthinking. You have that validation, first and foremost, of how fucking incredible you already are. So if this is tickling your fancy and you would like to know more about astrology, human design, CliftonStrengths, and how they all work together, I would absolutely love for you to join us on our webinar Tuesday, September 15th at 2 p.m. Central. This is being recorded, so if you cannot make it, no worries. It can be sent to your inbox. And we are asking for a slight financial investment of $11. If you have any questions or if you would like more information, please feel free to either comment it below or shoot me an email. I'll put the link in the comments to register for the webinar. It's an open call. There's not a limit in seats. And again, if you can't make it in person, then you will definitely be getting the recording. And full transparency, at the end of that webinar, we will be walking you through the TUF cohort, which is a 4-week program that we have put together where you can really spend some beautiful quality time in each of these modalities with each of us and a week of integration. So again, you really have the foundational information that you need to be unshakable, to be unfuckable, and to be fucking amazing. All right. I hope each and every one of you have a fantastic everything. And if there's anything I can support you on, I'm just a message away. Okay, love you. Bye.